all of this to be said about living alone versus cohabiting. And this is just like a much bigger conversation. We talked a lot about our personal experiences, but just the ways that it affects your literal cognitive function, your brain, your emotions, your internal environment, the expression of self, the financial ability to live with someone versus not. The whole story always comes back to your life, your choices, your expression of self is what you make it. And so you can live a very, very beautiful life with someone and without someone. You can make living alone glorious and isolating. You can make living with someone a pain in the fucking ass or really empowering. You are going to have probably all of the above, but look at your life situation, look at your living environment, and just try to romanticize it. No matter what it is, just try. Because like you mentioned earlier, people have this constant concept that the grass is greener when I move out of my parents' house, when I get my own place, when me and my boyfriend live together. Like there's always something that you're yearning for. Look at where you fucking live now. Love it, appreciate it, make it a haven for your body to be able to heal. The only time that you can heal is when you feel safe. Make your home a safe space, period. For those who are deep enough to get it,
but profound enough to not care.
You're listening to Consciously Unconscious. Welcome back.
Hello. Happy February.
Happy February. Wait, today?
It's February 1st.
Oh my gosh. Happy February 1.
January has came and went. Do you think January is a long month?
I don't know. No. Not after you like finish all the holiday celebrations. A lot of people are traveling. I think a lot of people feel like January is a short month. Just boop.
Everything I've been seeing on social media is like January is so long and then every other month of the year is so short.
February is short because there's 28 days.
Yeah.
Unless it's a leap year.
Yeah. Did you know Lucas's parents got married on leap year?
That's sick.
Do you think it's sick?
Yeah, that's got to be something magical.
True. It's got to mean something.
Yeah, it does.
I think I would be annoyed though because I'm a very like, it has to be on the date.
You love celebrating your anniversary on the date.
Well, we actually don't have an anniversary.
What do you mean?
So he asked me to be his girlfriend from the beginning on July 4th. And that was our anniversary for like forever. But then we broke up. When we got back together, we didn't really like know the time that we like officially started to be back together. Then we got married at the courthouse on the 4th of March, I think.
So that's your anniversary.
It is, but like we also know that we want to have a wedding one day. So we're like not identifying with that.
Why don't you just pick a date that sounds good for you for now?
We should, but we're not anniversary people, to be honest.
I love an anniversary.
Yeah.
Not that I have one to celebrate.
Speaking of, how is your love life?
Okay, we're jumping right into it. Anytime Amanda puts me on the spot about my love life, I get a little sweaty, especially when I have to talk about it on a microphone.
Well, I'm just saying because I think the last time that we talked about it, we were telling people that you broke up with a long-term person.
Yeah, that was a couple months ago now.
By person, I mean man. Jessa is straight. I'm just going to put that on.
Please clarify because sometimes it's hard to tell. Yeah, that was a couple months ago. That was a lot, but you know what? It felt like I had been grieving that relationship for a while. So when it finally came to the end, it was obviously sad in terms of how it was changing my life and my routines and how I was spending my time, especially in the home, which we will talk about in this episode, is just like transitioning from kind of living with someone to living alone, but having your own place. I don't know. There were a lot of dynamics that changed, but I digress. I am finally kind of coming out on the other side. You know that moment when you have gone through just like so much heaviness, and then one day you just wake up and you're just like, oh, I'm actually okay.
You feel like you're there now?
It depends on the day, but I feel like I've been having more of those moments. And I think that my friends have been so supportive. I've been out in the world, spending time
out in the streets
with other people, person specifically, which has been really fun to like discover someone new in a way that I think started really fun, flirty,
and kind of serendipitous, like not when you were looking at all.
Yeah. which is always how it goes. And then you realize like, whoa, I forgot what it was like to like really have feelings for someone and fall for someone. And so that's been a really fun part of myself to discover. We have planned a few visits to each other because this person doesn't.
Can we name him instead of saying this person? Let's name him.
Let's call him in light of how Call Her Daddy named her people to keep their aliases mysterious. We can name him Mr. Greek Man.
I was going to say like Zeus, like some Greek god. Zeus or Poseidon.
That's
or like
perfect. Let's call him Zeus.
Okay, Zeus.
Very fitting. He is Greek. Like really Greek.
And he's a cutie.
He's so sweet and kind and soft and gentle. And we spent some time together. And we just didn't get enough of each other. And so he's coming here.
Do you feel like it's jarring for you?
Yeah.
After you were in a relationship for how long? 3 years?
Yeah, it's jarring, but it's also extremely comforting to know how comfortable he makes me, which is why I know that it's an avenue that I'm okay pursuing, because it's not like it's jarring only to my own psychological narrative. It's jarring to my body image. It's jarring to, am I sexy? Am I cool? Am I smart enough? But at the same time, like, he makes me feel so fucking cool and so seen and so heard that it feels really soft and gentle and easy. Something that I've been really asking the universe for a long periodically time is a gentle love. And my last relationship wasn't gentle. In moments it was, but it was tumultuous. And I never felt like my nervous system could fully calm and settle into a space. And immediately with this man, Zeus,
Zeusy boy.
just feel so held. And I'm just excited, like trying to release expectations to outcomes, but Amanda's going to meet him next weekend.
I cannot wait. I told Jessa we were having a Super Bowl party and she's like, wait, that's the weekend that Zeus is coming. And I was like, I get to meet
Zeus.
We're calling him Zeus.
So funny. Okay.
And if you're listening, hi, Zeus.
Hi, baby. Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. It's really just like busting my heart open. It's really cool to have someone who simultaneously helps you heal from something that you're still moving through and working through and holding a lot of space for that, but also just like it truly feels like a come as you are relationship.
Well, and I know that we're going to leave space for you to do an entire episode on your breakup. And now I think we should even do a whole like re-entering back into the dating scene and like falling for somebody new episode dedicated to it. But I feel like there are a lot of people listening who probably have experienced that, where they broke up with somebody and they're either already finding someone randomly, or they're like, how the fuck do I even navigate this? Because there is also that societal pressure to like get back in the game, but also don't do it too fast. Don't do it too fast.
And something that I really needed to discern was, is this just a coping mechanism of avoidance to not have to worry about the grief that I'm feeling? Or is this something that's really like opening and healing for me in so many other ways other than just like distraction? It is the latter for me, but I really questioned myself at first. I was like pretty not standoffish, but like he really pursued me directly. And at first I was like, I don't know, because I think that I was overwhelmed by, are these feelings that I have for this person so quickly real, or is this just my, like, is this a rebound, you know? And once I was able to discern that it was absolutely not a rebound, that's when I was like, okay, I'm ready to like be in this space for you. And he was really respectful of that. But I would challenge people to ask themselves that question, like, and neither is wrong, right? But I just wasn't wanting to utilize someone else for my own,
especially somebody that you actually saw something with. I think that's the difference too. You meet somebody, you're like, fuck, you are really fucking cool and I want to explore you, but I just got out of this relationship and I don't want to be in it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean?
Scary.
Bachelorship, but like, seriously, when you meet somebody that you do feel like you can see something with, that's really frightening. But I think it speaks to, I mean, I even watched you. I watched you be like, no, I can't do this right now. And he still was like, but
Something we love about European men is their directness
Yeah.
and their ability to articulate and express exactly what they're feeling. There's no Mr. Cool Guy. There's no toxic masculinity. It's just, hey, I'm into you. This is what I feel about you. I'm pursuing you. If you're cool with that, I'm in. If you're not, okay, I respect that too. I mean, there was a period where he was like, okay, you're not into it. Like, chill. It's fine. My mom texted me something so funny the other day.
Have you been telling her about him?
Yeah, she knows.
What does Kristen say?
My mom knows everything. Everything that's worthy of knowing. She loves that I feel like I'm being treated the way that I really should be treated.
Yeah.
Because she just wants me to be happy, and she knows that I'm such a lover girl. Mm-hmm. And it's been hard for me. She texted me and said, I had told her about this, and then she texted me, just not necessarily out of context, but American men typically have very fragile egos and limited emotional range. Not true for everyone I know, but certainly more than the norm.
Not Kristen, literally spitting facts.
Spitting facts
out of nowhere. No, it's so true. It is so true.
Yeah.
You know what I think is helpful too? I just had this thought of the fact that this is somebody that you are getting to know after a serious relationship. I think it's helpful that he doesn't live here. Yeah. I think it's helpful that you guys are kind of doing long distance right now, because it does give you that space to still process the emotions that come up from your past relationship.
Totally.
While also being really intentional.
Yes, that's a perfect response. And you know what? It's given me a lot of space to still spend time by myself. And I live alone right now. I have lived alone for years now. When I first moved to Denver like 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I lived with a roommate, but then pretty quickly after that, I got my own place. And I lived alone in college too. And so I've always really valued my space to be by myself. But over the course of the last 3 years, I was kind of like on and off living with this boyfriend. And so the last handful of months that I've gotten to just like have my space back as my own has been so healing and so sacred, because it's a space where I get to determine the energy. I get to determine how everything looks. I get to really set this space as a safe haven versus kind of just like waiting for the next shoe to drop and feeling like the energy was so clouded with arguments and with someone else's shit everywhere and that's not to say that it wasn't lovely having someone that you love in your space as well, but in terms of healing and connecting it to this episode, my space as a Cancer, as just like, I don't even know if I'm a homebody, but I do love being home, is so vital to my development of self and to my healing.
I want to get into beverage of the week, and then I want to dive into this conversation because I have a good question, but we need to do beverage of the week before we forget, and it's literally at 55 minutes.
True. Are you gonna sing? We haven't sang in a long time.
Sang.
You can sing. I get weird when I sing, and I just had a monologue.
Can I bring out the piano?
Oh, that's like a lot. There's so many chords in here. We will set up the piano for next episode.
Do we have some sort of instrument that I can use?
So just a piano. You can.
Why do you have a piano?
Well, that was an ex-boyfriend's piano, and he left it here, and so I've been playing it.
This previous past boyfriend?
Now that I deleted my social media, I'm just
have
like at night.
Have you actually been?
Yeah, I'll play it every once in a while. I don't know how the fuck to play. I'm not like learning how to play, but I'll just mess around.
Jessa is sitting on her couch like,
dude, my neighbors don't know what the fuck goes on in here. They're like, oh, they're filming a porno. They look through the windows, they see all this. They're like, oh, she plays keyboard ? We're not sure.
Okay, I'm trying to think of a song. Home. Let me go home.
Oh, I thought you were going to do home.
Home is wherever the beverage of the week is. Home. Let me go home.
I'm getting nauseous.
Home is where the beverage of the week is.
Rap.
I know.
I thought she was going to go for a third chorus, and I was like,
I wouldn't do that to any of us.
Beveragino of the Weeko this week is because we are in my home, and this is going to be our new recording studio, which just really feels like two girlies on a couch, which is our biggest feedback, is that, oh my gosh, it feels like I'm just sitting on the couch and hanging out with you. It feels like I'm just home in the living room, like shooting the shit with my girlfriends. We figured, the adjustment to this space would suit our financial scenario better.
Yeah. Until we're thriving and this podcast is top charting, which, by the way, go leave us a review if you haven't, because that really helps us become top chart worthy.
Just a subtle plug.
Until we are there where we can build a studio with a sick couch in like a sick space.
Oh, you don't think my couch is
No,
sick?
it is. But like until we can actually have a dedicated studio space so we don't have to like.
We're chilling here.
Yeah, we're chilling here.
So what I did is just invited Amanda in. I invited Amanda into my morning routine. And my morning routine, I've been really trying to not go get any coffee because I've been trying to save money. And that's not working based on many other purchases that I've been making. But for some reason, I can justify it because I make my own coffee. So every morning I do a cold brew with pistachio oat milk. She was so anti.
I was just confused when she called me and we were talking about coffee. She's like, yeah, I have pistachio milk here. And I didn't know if it was like pistachio flavored creamer or actual pistachio milk, because I've never had pistachio milk.
Well, it's pistachio flavored creamer.
But with pistachio milk, right?
I don't know.
Okay. We're
Never
still
read the
confused.
ingredients. But yeah, I just kind of did that as a welcome to my home. Mm-hmm. This is what I do every morning, and join me because it's 8 a.m.
So you wake up, you roll out of bed.
I wake up, I roll out of bed, I let my alarm go off a couple times, which is nice. No one next to me to wake up. No one like immediately in my fucking bubble of energy.
Must be fucking nice.
Yeah.
You know what I woke up to this morning? Get my water!
Yeah, I don't have that yet. I wake up to I have these lights next to my bed that turn on automatically at whatever time I want them to. So soft wake up. I usually put on solfeggio frequencies.
Your cortisol is like this.
Yeah.
And mine's like, nay, 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 nay.
Yeah, dude. My mornings are really sacred to me, and I will appreciate that for as long as I can. So I wake up, I don't know. I come out here. I usually stretch a little bit, maybe. Like I mentioned, have deleted social media, which has changed my morning routine a lot because I was in a really bad habit of just looking immediately at my phone. And so now I'm not doing that anymore. But yeah, then I'll drink a glass of water and then pretty much right away make myself a coffee.
Coffee before food?
Yeah, I don't eat breakfast.
Why?
I don't like it. I don't like breakfast
It's
food.
my favorite food ever.
I know, it's a really controversial opinion because people are like,
You don't like eggs? You don't like bacon? You don't like bagels?
I'm like, no, I don't fucking want it. I want lunch. I want a roast beef.
Oh my God.
Actually, I don't like roast beef. I have no idea why I said that. But a true sandwich or
Yeah, I fuck with a sandwich just at 12:31, not
Ooh, I have
9 a.m.
chills.
And I can't not eat in the morning. I can't go until 12. I'm ravenous. If I do that, I feel so lethargic, so anxious. I have to eat in the morning.
well, you also are burning more energy than me, I think, because of what you have to do during your day with your children.
I've always been like that though.
Yeah, I could go until 3 p.m. without food. Yeah.
Okay, well, is that healthy intermittent fasting?
What did Lucas call it the other day? He said, do you intermediate fast? And I was like, no, Lucas, I just have an eating disorder. But funny, but not funny.
Funny, haha.
So funny.
And funny, weird.
So anyways, that's my morning routine, living alone.
Actually, while we're here though, I do want to ask you something. We were having this conversation off the mic. I'm so curious what you guys think. Do you coffee before you brush your teeth? You can even throw food in there. Do you eat breakfast and then coffee before you brush your teeth, or do you brush your teeth, then coffee, then food?
Are you asking me? You're asking them?
Both.
Well, I'll answer because I'm here. You get back to us later. I will drink my coffee and then brush my teeth, because what will happen is that if I wake up and I brush my teeth and then I drink coffee, then I have bad coffee breath. So I'm like, if I'm going to have a cup of coffee in the morning at my house anyways, I might as well have it on a stank mouth and then brush my teeth afterwards. Does it feel like my teeth are wearing a fucking sweater until I do? Yes. But
doesn't it change the flavor of the coffee?
No. Not with the pistachio. I'm like, I love pistachio. It's actually just my rank breath. Yeah. Anyways, so welcome to my home. Cheers. Good morning, beverage of the weeko. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of living alone versus cohabiting, how that affects you, what the pros and cons are. I mean, it's a really interesting thing to think about, because in our age range, you just turned 27. Welcome to the 27 Club.
Thank you. Don't say that.
You're not going to die.
The 27 Club is the club of people who died at 27. Lucas said this exact same fucking shit to me the other day. He
I'll
goes,
take a bullet
welcome
for
to
you.
the 27 Club. And I said, no.
You are
We
not
can
going to
be
die.
the 27 Club.
Okay, welcome to the 27 Club. And this age range of kind of like 25, I think I started living alone when I was like 24, 25, 23, to about 35, maybe even a little bit less, because people usually find partners before them. But like, that's a range that is pretty specific in your entire lifetime of when you have an opportunity to live alone. Obviously, there are outliers, but you live with your parents growing up, or you live with your caretakers, and then you go to college. You usually have roommates, or if you're living alone in college, you're basically not, because you're just around people all the time. And then you have this phase of like your young adulthood coming into self, where a lot of times people choose to live alone. And then when you find a partner, boom, you're back into cohabiting, and then maybe children arise. And then essentially for the rest of your life, you live with that person, or your kids live with you,
Or you get divorced at 50 and you're hot, flirty, and thriving. And
totally. And then you like re-enter
alone
your
again.
living alone era. But just in terms of like the majority, I think it's an interesting time to pair living alone with like the really coming of age self. Mm-hmm. And living alone has been so fucking transformative for me. And so I'm curious to hear about how living with people has been.
I would argue that living alone is the coming of age story.
Yes. It's essentially, there are so many days where I really feel like I'm living in a rom-com, and I really romanticize my life, and I'm sitting with no pants on, with the music blasting, eating organic vanilla bean ice cream, like with a face mask on. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what the movies are about. Yeah. But there are also times where it's like really sad and I'm crying in a ball in my shower and I'm like, I wish someone was here, you know? So the range of living alone is the coming of age story, is the true plot thickener.
Well, and I only had the experience of living alone in college when all of my friends went abroad. All of my roommates went abroad. All my friends went abroad. So I truly was alone. And that's when I met Graham. We had my birthday dinner and Jessa got to finally meet my other best friend, Graham.
I love him, by the way.
He's the best. He loves you.
So funny.
He's the best. And I met him because literally everyone I knew. I was on my Instagram archived post the other day and I was looking at a post I made of all the people that were going abroad. 12 of my friends, like everyone. I was the only one. I knew nobody.
Why didn't you go abroad?
I was a transfer, so I didn't have enough credits.
Oof.
I would have had to.
How dare they deny that to you?
I think I would have had to stay later in college afterward, and I didn't want to do that. Looking back, I probably should have done it, but I was going to go to New Zealand, and then I couldn't because of my transfer credits. But anyway, I digress. Everyone was gone. It was really the time where I was living alone, but I also had no other friends to surround myself with outside of my home. So I met Graham. I like tapped him on the shoulder in our women's studies class, and I was like, "Do you do Orange Theory?" Because he was wearing an Orange Theory shirt, and he's like, "No, I work there." He had like his AirPods in and cold brew, and like didn't want to fucking talk. But I made him be my friend. Anyway, I was living alone at the time, and that's really where I simultaneously like gained my confidence, healed my eating disorder, but also fell into like more obsessiveness with exercise, but then also was able to really gather like the words that keep coming to me when I think of my time living alone, which was 7 months, was the noise was gone. The noise was gone. I didn't have opinions of others. I didn't have judgments of others because I feel like I was always very blogger, YouTube, like kind of always wanting to do my own thing in that way. And so I felt like all the roommates I was living with were always like judgmental or whatever. And so I felt like it was the first time that I was devoid of other people's opinions, judgments, responsibility to like factor in other people's schedules.
Yeah.
And it was really the first time that I felt truly I had the space to discover who I am, what I like, what I want, and where I feel most confident.
Yeah. Well, most of your time is spent as a functioning member of society where you're constantly dealing with other people's perception of you, other people's judgments of you. When you're home alone, it's really telling of who you are when no one's looking, who you are when no one's judging, who you are when no one's kind of like subconsciously or consciously forcing you to act a certain way. And so it really brings up a lot of these deeper, more authentic versions of self.
I would also, I'm curious the differences in what the experience is like, whether living alone is chosen or whether living alone is truly just circumstantial. Like the intentional choice.
Yeah, that's an interesting
to live
question.
alone versus
I can't find anyone to live with, or
I just
I'm in
broke
a
up
new
with somebody
city,
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting way to think about the intention going into living alone, because if you just got broken up with and all of a sudden now you have to find a new place, that's going to feel really lonely and scary and sad and hard. If you are like, finally I'm busting out of this apartment with these roommates that I really didn't get along with, that's going to feel really empowering. And I think that, like I mentioned before, like the range of emotion you feel is really what the story is about, because there will be days no matter what that you love living alone. There will be days no matter what that you hate living alone and crave company. And I think that it's the same thing as just optimist versus pessimist. Is it glass half full or is it glass half empty? How are you going to look at your opportunity to live alone? Because ultimately, it's an opportunity to be able to financially afford to live alone in this day and age, to be able to have a safe, comfortable space to live that you get to curate as your own. I mean, regardless of the situation or the circumstance that put you there, being able to have the means to successfully live alone is an opportunity. And it's not right for everyone, but I think that I would encourage people to look at it, no matter how you got there, as a really big blessing.
Do you think you're glass half full or glass half empty?
Depends on the week.
Really?
I think I'm mostly glass half full.
Yeah.
I used to not be.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious of how much I complained. And I was like, I don't want to be a complainer anymore. Like, why am I just picking out the things to be victim to? I think one of the things that maybe made me face that too was this idea, this concept of being in my own thoughts, being in my own space, and really analyzing, how do I spend my time? Because I think for a minute it was this perception of like, I love to paint. I love to read. I love to make art. I love to whatever, pull tarot cards. I love to do all these things. And then I'd get home and then I'd be like, do I really love to do those things if all I'm doing is scrolling on my phone? Do I really love to do those things if when I'm home alone and have all this time, I'm not? And then I'm still going and I'm complaining that, like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just a really honest flash in my face of how I spent my time, which led me to be more grateful and more positive,
I
glass-half-full.
totally get what you're saying, because I actually, that is something that I think about now, living with a husband and 2 kids, is, God damn, what do people do who don't have the constant demand and noise? I spent a week living alone it had to have been 2023. It was 2023 in August. I spent one entire week living alone. Lucas took the kids to Florida and he went down for like a work trip, and the kids stayed at his parents' house. I had 1 week of just being by myself, and I was like, all of you bitches who are complaining about not having enough time, who don't have children or who maybe have a partner who don't, like, stop it. But that's the perspective, right?
It's perspective and it's comparison to your natural, normal environment.
Yeah.
Because I think that when every single day you come home to an empty home, it can make you feel like, yes, again, we're talking about the dichotomy, so empowered, so productive, so just like, oh, I'm in my own space, I'm sexy, I'm free, I'm this, I'm that. Like you felt the week that you had by yourself, or just like time to get shit done that you have not had time for in months. But I think it can also make someone really stagnant, really lazy. Like you don't have accountability coaches. You don't have partners to inspire you, motivate you, even just a roommate being like, yeah, I'm going to the gym. Do you want to come?
I think the inspiration came from my kids weren't there and I knew they were coming back. And so it gave me almost like I would not be this productive if I had all of this time and I didn't even have children to begin with. Like the reason I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then having that perspective of like, if I knew what I knew now, previously I would have gotten so many more things done, but I don't think you can have that perspective until you have it.
Yeah.
Because you're living in your reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that I can live so successfully by myself because I work in a job where I go to work.
Yes.
And so I still get a lot of human interaction. I can't imagine being someone who works from home and lives alone. That would be really isolating. As humans, we're social creatures, we're social beings. We need not only just energetic contact with people, but like we need physical touch. We need interactions that give your mind, your body, your brain stimulation, and to be in a situation where you're not getting that in person.
Well, that's the
really
balance, right? Like it's interesting because cohabitating with people, I find that I don't go and seek out what?
Cohabiting or cohabitating?
I always thought it was cohabitating.
Yeah, but then when I went to spell it, it said cohabiting.
Whatever. Okay. Could be either or.
She
interchangeable.
She hates that I asked a question.
No, it can be interchangeable.
Whatever. Anyways.
I think, I lost my train of thought.
Oops.
What was I talking about?
I wasn't listening. I was thinking about you saying cohabiting.
What were you just saying though?
Going to work, living.
Yes, thank you. I think I think because I live with people, I'm seeking out going and finding the community less.
Yeah, because you get that interaction without needing to try.
Exactly. So almost what I'm seeking out more is solitude, is individuality, is space devoid of other people. Versus when you are living alone, if you do not have that social interaction of work, you leave the house for work, you're probably needing to seek that out. And if you aren't, you probably need to, because it is so important. And I am so fascinated by the blue zones. And if you don't know what the blue zones are, they're these areas in the world where people tend to live the longest. And they're just like different pockets around the entire world. I think there's one in California. There's a lot in Europe. I want to say California, the one in California is the only one in the US, which is telling. But anyway, I was doing some research on it, and a lot of these places are either multi-generational homes or they're villages where people don't really leave the village. I mean, there was a stat where it said people in multi-generational homes, where is it? Oh, research shows that individuals spend about 90% of their lives within 5 miles of their home, known as the life radius, which is in the blue zones. These people don't even leave the village because they have all they need with community there. But what was really interesting is that there was this community of people in Okinawa. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Japan.
Yeah. And they do something really interesting there where the second you are born, they put you in these committed community groups, these committed groups of like people your age who essentially are
Grow up with
committed
you.
to be your friend for life. And it says, I have to read
For
this.
lifers.
For lifers. Fucking Kim Kardashian always says that. My lifers. My lifers.
Shut up, Kim. Cancel Kim.
People are dying, Kim.
Dude, it's time to cancel the Kardashians. I'm just going to put it out there, okay?
You know, I really liked them for a time because they were my comfort show, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
So it says, okay, home to the world's longest lived women, these South Pacific islands offer many secrets to longevity. The Okinawa tradition of forming a MOAI, I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Moya.
Yeah, thank you. Provides secure social networks. These safety nets lend financial and emotional support in times of need and give their members the stress-shedding security of knowing there is always someone there for them. In Okinawa, at age 5, children are put into these committed social networks. One specific
Moya.
that Dan discovered had been together for 97 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The average age of the group is 102. They meet every day to drink sake and gossip. If
Dude,
one of
moving to Okinawa.
If one of them does not show up, the other 4 put on their kimonos to walk across the village to check on their friend.
My heart.
And so I think with this rise of people living alone, or even just people who are more isolated, say they do live with people by not choice but intention, but they're working from home and they're feeling more isolated. We're really in this like friendship epidemic, this loneliness epidemic. It's so important to have the perspective that we are social beings.
Yeah.
And we need to find ways to get that interaction for our own health, our well-being.
And that's a tough muscle to flex because then you get so comfortable in your own environment and then you think of being physically unable, being like unable to participate because you've been so comfortable being by yourself. Yeah. One of the other things that entire anecdote kind of brought me to is this idea of safety. And a lot of people are living in fear right now, just in general, of the way that the world is and the chaos that happens, especially when you live in big cities. I mean, I live pretty close to downtown and I'm pretty constantly hearing sirens, which just alarm bells in the back of my head that I don't even maybe now notice all the time. But when I first moved here, I was like, holy shit. And I think that I feel so much safer with a community of people that know where I live, that I live alone, when I'm home,
including
when I'm
all
not
of you guys, because we tend to let you know where she lives.
Yeah.
What's the address again?
Post my address.
747.
But I think that, you know, especially again, in my experience as a woman living alone on the first floor near downtown Denver at these exact coordinates, I struggle a lot with fear. It's been something that's rooted deeply within me. I don't know if it's a past life thing or what, but when I was little growing up, I would beg my parents to check every single window to make sure it was locked before bed. And I lived in like the safest, most like,
Yeah.
without even getting into it, there was just no fucking way someone was breaking into my house. And for whatever reason, I was scared of the burglars, the robbers. I was always so deeply scared that someone was going to break in. And so that has carried through in all of my times that I've lived alone. But in these blue zones, in these groups of people, like how beautiful is it that they likely don't even have to worry about their own safety, because even if they live alone in their home, they're not actually living alone.
Well, and I mean, that gets into a larger conversation of like sprawl. What are the benefits? What are the downsides?
Gentrification?
Sprawl.
What?
Sprawl is like
Sprawl.
the
Sprawl. sprawl.
I'm going to butcher the definition, but essentially what it is like, I think it came after the Industrial Revolution of, and again, I'm terrible at history, so if I'm wrong, just let that one go. But essentially what it is, it's like the expansion of people living from neighborhoods, small villages, towns to expanding to
urban sprawl.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing in so many cities is like literally physically watching, you know, the city expand itself.
Yeah. And like I think what you mentioned before, this time of like 25 to 35, I know so many people in this age range who are homeowners, who are living in apartments, who are still having roommates, who are living at home with their parents. And I think that we all have these narratives, whether we're in one situation or the other, that tend to be, again, that sort of that grass is greener situation.
Yeah.
Or people who societally we deem like, oh, you had to move back with your parents. Like,
God, if I could move back into my parents without going back to the East Coast, I totally would.
Right. And so I think that there's a perspective to offer of I'm a homeowner and like, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Why do you say that though?
Because guess what happens when something breaks?
Yeah, you got to fix
We have no
it.
maintenance man to call. Guess what happens when your fucking pipes burst? You have to do the lawn. I mean, like there's
It's a lot.
It's a lot of maintenance, right? Also, I think that I'm 27. I have definitely thought about where I want to end up. A lot of my community, again, community is really important to me. I'm learning that as I grow. A lot of my community is in Florida. I can't ever go back to my hometown, but I would like to end up long term there because I want to be around the people that really bring value to my life. To my life.
But it's interesting that you say that because I want to challenge you that your community is ever expanding. And so right now it feels like the community that you want to be around is in Florida.
No, but that's not, I don't want to be there right now. I'm saying long term. Like I'm saying long term and I'm open to things changing.
No, I know, but I think that it's so interesting that you see yourself going back there because of the community that's there. But how do you have any concept that your community is still going to be there or that's the community that you want to be?
I'm talking like parents, like Lucas's parents, Lucas's grandma, my grandma, my aunts, my cousins, like family. Family is all there. They're never going to leave.
Yeah.
And my brother is there. He's not going to leave. Like something I really was grateful for growing up was living around my cousins. Like I would love that for my kids. Again, things can change, but right now where my mind has been and Lucas's mind has been is going back to Florida long term, right? And so now what I want to do with these next 3 years is potentially move to California. We've talked about this. And because I'm not ready to go there yet, I want to explore, right? I want to be able to move around. Maybe we go to California for a year. Maybe we go to New York, maybe wherever. I want these next 3 years to be, like you said, I can go and build my community elsewhere and I can explore. The hard part about being a homeowner is I feel like it's not as easy to get out of. Renting, you can just end your lease, put your shit in storage.
Is that such a mindset though? That is such a mindset that it's not that easy to get out of.
It is a mindset because I could say we're stuck and it's literally zero possibility, end of discussion, done. But because I know that I have the willingness to do it, I'll do it. There are just so many hoops you have to go through. Like, do we want to rent it out? Do we want to sell it? If we want to rent it out, we got to fix the caulking on the doors. We have to redo the floors in the bathroom. We have to redo the floors in the kitchen. We have to repaint the inside of the house. We have to furnish the place. Like,
I get it.
There are so many things to it that feel overwhelming. Maybe it's not as hard. It just feels so overwhelming to get out of.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like if you're renting, it's easier to get out of. But I want to say too, like I have a great friend who he's living back at home with his parents and he chose to do that, one, to save money, but two, because his parents are older and he knows that he's never going to get this time again. So I think that there's beauty to every living situation and there's always a negative to every situation. I just think that we got to stop with the grass is always greener in living situations.
How do you find that you still get to make time alone in your chaotic household?
I don't.
You just simply don't? You have to leave your house?
Well, actually, you know what's interesting? Lucas and I got into a really big argument the other day because we have
You're
always
just cohabiting.
and we've always said that we put each other first. Like when it comes to all of our different roles and priorities, mom, business, whatever, we really try to put our marriage first because we believe that like that's the foundation for everything else in our life to function efficiently.
Beautiful.
However, we haven't been doing that because I think, again, we're in our 20s, and something that we are really passionate about is growing our careers and finding ways to take care of ourselves because we don't get that time. So we've been prioritizing the kids because they've been sick like the whole month. Our, the podcast, Lucas's work, he's going to take a call at 5 p.m. with a doctor if he really has to. Like, we've been prioritizing everything else. And on top of that, our individuality, Lucas going to the gym, me going to an event, me going to hang out with friends, him going to men's group, like
It's a lot.
doing things separately that we haven't done things together. And so we're trying to really get back to prioritizing our each other first. But it really is a dance. I mean, I think instead of I could be better at being like, I'm going to prioritize an hour for myself each day. Or when the kids are at school, I'm going to start 30 minutes before I get to work on meditating and do that for myself. But I think for me, it's all about seasons, like knowing that this is a really busy season. I'm not going to get as much time for myself as I want, but it's going to pass and I will get the time again. I think something that I'm really interested in with living with somebody, cohabiting, whatever it is, versus living alone is almost like this energy exchange that happens.
Joe Dispenza does a really interesting episode. We'll see if I can find it on YouTube. I don't remember where I saw it. It honestly might have been something that I just like saw in passing on TikTok, but he talks about your neuroplasticity and the way that your neuroplasticity literally changes when you live alone because you have a higher ability to emotionally regulate. You have a higher ability to self-soothe and just basically control and determine your energetic environment versus waking up and the ass crack of dawn. You're immediately absorbing someone else's energy. Even without spoken word, it's automatically affecting your aura, your nervous system, your day ahead is influenced, whether you want it to be or not, whether positively or negatively, by someone else. And that can be put in, again, a positive spin and a negative spin. Someone could wake up and be like, good morning, babe. Like, so good. We're going to have the best day. And you're like, oh, love. I feel so loved. I feel so open. I feel so free. I'm ready to go. Or someone could wake up and be like, I'm so fucking tired. And I have this and this and this to do today. And you're like, whoa, I was about to have a good day, but you're in my fucking zone. So it's really sacred to control your own energy whilst also living with someone. That's the delicate balance, I think, of especially moving from living alone to moving back to cohabitating is this idea of, okay, what I've learned in living alone is that I am in control. I have sovereignty over my own energetic field, over my own ability to just like let things roll off my shoulders, to be able to create a day that feels really good for me, to be able to get done what I need to get done. And so the challenge then becomes when I go to living and spending time with someone else, can I maintain that? Can I keep those neural pathways that I've literally carved in my brain for myself about how to manage my own self, how to self-soothe, how to emotionally regulate with someone else involved?
See, I think especially if you have a family one day, I think that there will always be moments where like being cognizant of your energy in the morning is going to have to fall by the wayside. However, I think that because you have this time, this sacred time in your 20s where you are living alone and you are learning that and you are cognizant of it, that you're going to go into it with like, it's almost a perk. Like you're going to go into it with an advantage.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like because I literally went from living with roommates to college to getting pregnant to living with my parents to living with Lucas, like I never got that established time to really prioritize my morning routine and my energy in the morning. But what that was bringing me to, because that really has been an issue for us. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's funny, I got my Dutch test, which is like your hormone levels. It tells you your cortisol. My cortisol, the second I open my goddamn eyes in the morning, is off the charts high. And it's because my children sometimes will wake up and be like, good morning. But usually and this is Lucas and I's fault, we don't wake up before the kids because we're fucking tired.
Yeah.
And we want to get as long a sleep as we can. And so the kids will wake us up, and sometimes they're like, good morning, whatever. And we're just not ready to wake up. But then they'll jump on us, and then they'll hit us, and then they'll scream for food, and then whatever. Or sometimes they'll literally wake up and just be like, fuck this day.
Yeah.
I hate everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going to yell at you until you get the fuck out of bed. Like, it just is so unpredictable. However, I feel like I've been in the mindset of like, well, I guess this is gonna be how it's gonna be until they are able to wake up and like kind of be a little bit more independent and fend for themselves a little bit more. But when you were talking, it really made me realize, oh fuck, if I am living with people, kids and a husband, and my energy in the morning, which by the way, your energy in the morning is going to set up your energy for the rest of the day. So if my energy is going to be affected by everyone else's energy regardless, then instead of being like, well, I should just wake up 30 minutes earlier than everyone and make sure my energy is good, it should be all of us waking up together, me and Lucas waking up together, and like both intentionally setting up a positive space in the morning for the kids. Being intentional about not having our phones, being intentional about making breakfast together, putting on some music, having a coffee, connecting in the morning first.
Yeah.
Instead of me being like, I'm going to go meditate.
Sure. There's always a what you could be doing scenario. There's always that I know exactly what I need to do to make myself feel better. I know exactly what I need to do to make this situation, more productive. But you do the best you can with what you have and what you know. And
But
some
that was
days
a realization for me. I just had that realization.
I'm proud of you.
Because
a live one on the pod? Great.
Because that really has been an issue. And I've noticed that if I wake up 30 minutes earlier and I journal and I put on whatever music and I go outside and take some breaths and I ground on the floor, I'm feeling so good. The second they give me a negative attitude, it's over.
Sure.
I'm done.
Something that I also want to encourage for you and for anyone listening is how using your physical space and the way that you curate your space can really help with that.
Yeah.
Set up a space in your house that is dedicated to, this is where I spend my morning moment, 5 minutes by myself.
Yeah.
This is my little coffee station, which brings me so much joy. This piece of art that I get to look at every morning in my bathroom when I take a shit, love it. I'm going to interpret it every morning. Like just these moments where you get to curate your space to feel like a haven. I think a lot of people don't put energy into their space because it's just a place to live.
No.
Or it takes a long time and it takes a lot of money to put together, but that's also a myth. Like,
But I think you're a beautiful example of it. It doesn't have to be. I mean, like you like finer things in life, but you also are very good at finding thrifted items that are not expensive and curating your space and like
every single thing in here.
Yeah.
Essentially every single thing is thrifted.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, fuck, can you skip work and just come thrifting with me today? I need to get a new table in the kitchen.
yeah.
Just call out sick.
Yeah. I'm feeling like super sick. I think that, utilizing like tangible items and a tangible expression of self is also so beautiful. I learned this. I mentioned her. We did a little bit this morning that was like an Arc Digest spoof of Welcome to My Home. So you guys can look on YouTube to watch that. It'll kind of give you an example of what we're talking about like expression of self in your home. My friend Grace, who I mentioned in my episode, was my biggest expander in learning that your home can really be a complete and total expression of self where someone walks in and they say, I know who you are. Like, this is so cool. It's just like you threw up on this place. Like, you just opened your soul and let it find itself onto the walls. And that's what I've done with this place, is that like, that is such a creative outlet for me that feels so good to curate a space that I know is me. And this is such a representation of who I am and how I am in my life. And the next place I move to is going to look completely different. Like stylistically, the furniture that you have, the books that you have on your table, like that is a really cool way to reassure yourself of how well you're fucking doing. Just mentally, emotionally, physically, like the fact that I have my manifestation book on the table, that I have my, like, it just, I think that's really important for people to feel like they're home, even in the midst of children and roommates. And yes, it's more difficult when you don't live alone and you have to kind of like share space with roommates, but it's a good way to connect to like interacting with your home is really important.
To feel safe in your home. I mean, there was a point in time, I think Lucas and I have really been actively working towards putting more effort into the house. For a long time, I was operating from the mindset of, this is not my forever home. Why would I put money into it? Why would I buy art? Why would I do all these things? And I think that was such a negative place to be in, because what it would lead to is me being home and not feeling safe or secure, or like I could relax in the space, because it didn't feel cozy. It didn't feel homey. And so I had another realization when you were talking. This is just like the day of
Amanda's
realizing
therapy
thing.
episode.
Is it's really
Can you stop
hard.
grasping your toes like that?
No, I love it. You can't see it in the thing.
She's literally holding, you know how you grasp someone's hand like
It's like
this?
Happy Baby.
No, like how you interlace fingers with someone. She has one hand interlaced with every single toe.
It's because my feet get really cold. My toes get cold. So I'm trying to warm them up.
I've never seen such a thing.
You can't see them in there. You have to pay for that. You have to pay for feet
On
feet shots.
Substack.
What I was thinking was, Lucas and I have, I feel like it hasn't been able to be a creative outlet for me, because it's not something that I can do on my own. I feel like when you live with somebody, you have to factor in their taste, their style, what they like, especially when you have a man like Lucas who has an opinion about everything, and like is not one of those people that's like, I'm just gonna let like my wife do it. No, he wants to have an opinion on every single piece. Jessa and I went thrifting the other day, and Jessa showed me this golf piece. It was like a vintage looking like 1950s golf painting photo. I don't even know.
She comes from a golf family. If you didn't know, it's in her blood.
So at first I was like, why would I get that? And she's like, but it's like golf. And I was like, oh my God, wait, you're kind of right. It's
and
cool.
vintage
It's
and
like,
sick.
yeah, it looked really cool. It had like a cool little like flimsy gold frame, but it was still cool. I was like, yeah, this actually would be cool. I come home with it, and Lucas is like, you're not putting it in the living room. And I was like, what? And he's just having such a problem with it. And that bothered him. That really bothered him, that I didn't consider him.
Navigating a space where your comfort is different than someone else's potentially. Like that is such a pro of soaking in your own environment, is that all I need to satisfy is myself.
Yeah.
You need to find a way to curate an environment that's both a safe haven for you and someone else whose might look different.
Well, I think what it would be, he loves, speaking of Kim Kardashian, he would have Kim Kardashian's house minimal, white, concrete, stark. I'm like,
so dystopian.
I want color. I want eclectic things. I want, it to feel like, rugs layering over rugs. I want things to I'm a maximalist. I like the everywhere you look, there's something to have a story about or to ask about. And so I think it's about curating. But what I was thinking when we were talking is, I just need to go spend like a whole day with him thrifting for the house.
Yeah.
I think if we did it together, it might feel like we can learn each other's style. We can learn each other's energy, because that really is what you have to do when you live with people, is learn each other's energy.
It's interesting how there's benefits to both, because when you have a situation like that where you have to work alongside him to find something to curate that fits both of your needs and your wants, like that enhances your ability for empathic communication.
Yeah.
When I go to the thrift store, it enhances my executive decision making, because the only thing that I'm in charge of is my own decisions and what I like and what I want. So it helps me and my literal brain focus on executive decision making, where your different strength that you're building is empathic communication and like wants and needs of other people and perspectives. And so all of this to be said about living alone versus cohabiting, and this is just like a much bigger conversation. We talked a lot about our personal experiences, but just the ways that it affects your literal cognitive function, your brain, your emotions, your internal environment, the expression of self, the financial ability to live with someone versus not. The whole story always comes back to your life, your choices, your expression of self is what you make it. And so you can live a very, very beautiful life with someone and without someone. You can make living alone glorious and isolating. You can make living with someone a pain in the fucking ass or really empowering. You are going to have probably all of the above, but look at your life situation, look at your living environment, and just try to romanticize it. No matter what it is, just try. Because like you mentioned earlier, people have this constant concept that the grass is greener when I move out of my parents' house, when I get my own place, when me and my boyfriend live together. Like there's always something that you're yearning for. Look at where you fucking live now. Love it, appreciate it, make it a haven for your body to be able to heal. The only time that you can heal is when you feel safe. Make your home a safe space, period. And if you are really in a situation where your home is not a safe space, please reach out to your community. Please reach out to resources that can help you find a space to be safe if you're with someone or in a physically unsafe environment.
Yeah, think about what you can control. Do the things that you can control. Reach out to your people. Reach out to your people. Focus on things you can control. Try to understand, even though I know that it's hard in situations like that where you do have options.
Yes.
You always have options.
Yes, you are never stuck.
I want to mention last thing that I'm so fascinated about, because I think when you were talking of the grass is always greener, where I'm living is really affecting me. I think there are moments where people, like you said, have those thoughts of, oh, when I move out of my parents' house, like things will get better. I also find, I was just reading someone's human design chart yesterday, and she was super, super curious about her location. And I think that that's also a thing of, well, when I live by the ocean again, like I'll feel better, which
that's me every day.
Do this all the time. When I move out to the mountains, I'll feel better. When I go abroad, I'll feel better. Like location. And so what this brought me to is astrocartography. Have you ever looked yours up?
Yes, of course I have.
I have looked mine up, but I cannot fucking
can't
tell
read it?
what I'm reading.
I'll help you read it.
Okay.
That's a really interesting thing to bring up. I'm so glad you brought that up. If you haven't heard of astrocartography, it's essentially a version of astrology, which reads because of where the planets were placed when you were born based on your birth chart, places in the world where you have hotspots based on your planetary alignments. Holy shit. Based on your fucking lines that your planets make. And when they run through specific places, specific lines, that's supposed to be a really potent, powerful place for you to go find said thing or for you to go spend time. And you don't necessarily need to, but like, let's say your Venus line, your line of love, your line of relationships, your line of like self-compassion, just like lovey line runs through Buenos Aires, you might have a very intense connection to self there. You might meet someone there. Like, who knows? Again, hooey gooey or not, it's really interesting to
Hooey-gooey?
read.
Did you say hooey gooey?
Hooey gooey? Like,
Never heard you say that in my life.
I've never said it in my life.
Hooey gooey?
I've literally never said that in my life.
Girl.
Yes. So maybe we can do a bonus on astrocartography.
Where are yours through though? I'm curious. Because when I looked at mine, I think I was confused because one of my lines was like in the middle of the fucking water.
Yeah, that's okay. They're not all gonna align. I
So
have
I'm supposed to be on a boat.
I have a lot through Southeast Asia and Australia, which is funny because I just spent so much time in that part of the world. I have one through, not directly through Denver, but I have a big one through Colorado, like almost. I think it's through Fort Collins, really, but it's close.
Wow.
I'll have to refresh. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's funny when you read it, you might notice that there are already places that you've really resonated with, that you've been to, that you had no idea why it felt so right. But a lot of people base their lives on their astrocartography chart. So to answer your question in full loop circle, I do think geography makes a difference, whether it's from your chart or whether it's just like the community that you're able to form based on your geographic location and what's available to you, city versus rural versus whatever. I would encourage people to think about what the easiest ways for them are to maintain a life where they can have solitude and comfort and safety in a physical home, and then also be able to have involvement in community, because like we were talking about before, community is so important. So find an environment, if you have the means, to be able to get involved in the world around you. Some places that's really hard to do because there's not a lot going on, or just like you're really isolated geographically. But
I do think if you have the resources and the means though to explore other locations, it can be really potent. I mean, I'm thinking about when I lived in Florida versus when I lived in Savannah, Georgia versus when I lived in now Boulder and then Denver. Like every place has brought a new expression of self for me and a new, like you were saying, community, but also just a new version of who I am. And I've learned so much about myself and the world in all of these places. So if you can almost like collect places, it really is conducive to just your overall growth and I think appreciation for your home when you do have that like really gravitational pull to somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So whether you live alone, whether you live with roommates, whether you live with a partner, I think the cool thing to challenge yourself to do is to be both the observer and the observed. So when you're alone, you get an opportunity to do that, to live in your unperceived version of self. But if you have the opportunity to try that on, even when you live with other people, see if you can find your truest expression, your most authentic expression, because you're not worried about being perceived by whoever you're with. So be the observer, be the observed, take gratitude and mental appreciation for the space that you're in, and enjoy wherever you are in the journey of settling into a space.
Do you want to know conscious community input really quick?
Yeah.
So I put on, Jessa's not on social media right now, so you didn't see this.
Yeah.
But
so if you're trying to reach out to me, don't.
I put a poll out that said, kind of was just gathering information on the living situations of our audience. So I said, have you ever lived alone? 74% said yes. 26% said no.
Wow. Okay.
Do you live alone currently? 38% yes, 62% no.
What? Okay. Market research.
And I said, what was your experience living alone? Someone said, I loved it. Empowering, freeing, beautiful, love. So empowering and healing. There's so much beauty in solitude. Fucking amazing, fucking incredible. One of the best years of my life. Empowered, healing, peaceful, lonely. Love it, peace, bliss, harmony, isolating. Okay, have you ever cohabitated? Cohabitated. The way you spell it is cohabitated. Whatever, I don't know. 100% yes.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's like family dynamics growing up.
Family,
like your nucleus family.
roommates, all the things.
Yeah. Do you currently live with one or more people? 68% yes.
Okay.
32% no. What was your experience like living with other
But
people?
you popped off on the polls.
This is the last one. It says, depends on the housemate. Current is great and harmonious. The past were nightmares. Someone said meh. It's
and learn what you need to be able to live successfully with other people. Like, don't haphazardly pick roommates unless you fucking have to. Really learn what dynamic is going to work best for you. Do you want a lot of involvement where you sit on the couch together and hang the fuck out? Do you want someone that you just see in passing? Like, if you have autonomy and choice over which roommates you get, have an open and honest discussion with them about how you live best, how you both live best, and how you can both support each other.
all across the board, some lovely, some not, but each has taught me something.
Love that perspective.
Nourishing and comforting. Stressful when I didn't like my roommate. Pleasant when I lived with my boyfriend. Stressful. Good and bad.
Okay.
But overall never as good as being alone and bathing in your own energy. With my parents, this is interesting. Limiting, but also supportive. Peaceful, but also boring.
Okay, so we've got answers across the board, which really just tie everything that we said in this episode in a bow. That it's all of the above. Everything is all of the above. Nothing is right. Nothing is wrong. There just is what it is. Nothing is better. Nothing is worse. It just is what it is. But if you...
But it all stems from you, I think. It's all whether or not you choose to be intentional with your energy, to be intentional with the people that you live with, to communicate with them what you need, what they need, to have spaces and time together where you can set up the energy that is going to be successful for every single one of you, to lean into the curation of your home, to really have places in your home that can bring about new energy, and to get clear first on what the fuck you need in your living space.
I can't wait to live with Zeus someday.
Zeus, if you're listening,
we can curate the house together. And it will have a balcony and a bathtub.
Has to have a bathtub. I can't believe you don't have a bathtub in this place. It's
tragic,
evil.
tragic. Okay, I gotta go.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. We love you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.